Alright guys, hello and welcome to another video. Kojiro from Gaming in Japan here, and today guys I'm going to talk about what I believe is the biggest weakness that I have found for Zangief in Street Fighter 6, and that is his ability to deal with cross-ups, with attacks that are jumping attacks that are hitting behind him. So I'm going to show you specifically what I mean, and then I'm going to give you some historical perspective of how Zangief used to deal with this stuff in previous Street Fighter games. But for now, in this point of time and in the game's life cycle, I strongly believe that this is the biggest disadvantage that this character has compared to his like iterations in different other games. So this is what I mean. I'm recording here a reaction after a block attack, right? So after she blocks, she goes for a jumping attack that is actually a cross-up, but the idea is that normally I'm supposed to be able to hit her here with the lariat when she goes behind me, right? Normally how it works in previous games, you're able to hit the opponent with your shoulder. Now this is the next example is with Blanca. Blanca has very good like traditional crossing jump attack with mid kick, right? But I can't hit him either, and it doesn't really matter if I use the EX lariat or the normal lariat. Now, okay, let me pause this here for a second. Now I'm going to show you Zangief in Street Fighter 4. Now, in Street Fighter 4, his lariat is definitely better than his in Street Fighter 6. Can catch cross-ups behind him, but also in that game there are these things called proximity normals, which were removed from the mainstream Street Fighter games after Street Fighter 4. There are no proximity normals in Street Fighter 5 and in 6, obviously. So for people who are new to fighting games, proximity normals are regular attacks that work differently when the opponent is up close, and they change. The attack becomes a different animation and has different properties. So in the case of Zangief in Street Fighter 4, when he uses his light jab and the opponent is close, he is doing like this upward chop, and it actually hits opponents that are directly above him, and it works as a anti-air. Let me just show you. Okay, so you see here the lariat works wonders, right? You see how he changes directions, and these are the proximity normals. This is his middle punch from far, and this is his jab from up close. So there are just pause here for a second. There are certain attacks in Street Fighter 4. The Street Fighter 4 is the game where I started playing Zangief. A little bit of a backstory. I had a character crisis in the beginning. I wanted to play Rose because I love her from Street Fighter Alpha, but I wasn't able to win very much with her. So I decided to play Zangief on a whim, and I started winning with him immediately. He fit my playstyle that is based around strong defense very well. So I started using him very much, and I had a lot of success with him in Street Fighter 4 vanilla version, right? Then when Arcade Edition and Ultimate Street Fighter 4 came around, they were played mostly on Xbox 360 because of the network net play issues, and at that point I dropped the game, but initially I had a lot of success with Zangief there. I have cut my teeth on him, so I know how he works, and what I want to tell you is that there are certain attacks in Street Fighter 4 who cannot be anti-aired with a lariat, and the most iconic of these attacks is the Akuma and his similar characters to Akuma who have Demon Flip. So Demon Flip cannot be countered with the lariat, and what you do in that case is you do the So as you can see, I'm trying to do a lariat, but I get hit out of it. So what Zangief does in that case is he just do the close jab, right? And it works as an anti-air to characters that are immediately above him. So in Street Fighter 5, his lariat is not as good as Street Fighter 4, but it's still better than Street Fighter 6. So this is guys the what usually happens, right? So when the attack comes above him, what happens is that Zangief does the lariat when he's in crouching position, and when the opponent is behind him, he does the spin and he hits them with the the back of his shoulder. He hits opponents behind him. So this is roughly what the animation looks like. It's just that the opponent character is um, above his right shoulder. So this is the closest to an actual like screenshot that I was able to do, but it looks something like that. He just uh, pauses there for a brief frame in this specific animation, and it also happens in Street Fighter 4. And he hits the opponent with the back of his shoulder, and that way the lariat is anti-projectile tool in which you cannot take chip damage or in Street Fighter 6 case drive gauge damage, and you can just like roll and whiff the projectile. It can be used as an anti-air, but historically it was also used to defend against cross-ups. But unfortunately, in Street Fighter 6, this doesn't seem to be the case, and this is a very subtle change that I don't think a lot of people have realized. And I haven't, because I started to play against people relatively recently, so I haven't really noticed that difference. But it's a very big deal in my opinion, and I honestly do not know what the substitute for defending against crossups might be for Zangief in this game. I'm not I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely not the lariat, right? The lariat is going to be mainly used for regular anti-air as a regular anti-air tool. And the jab for Zangief in Street Fighter 5 is not an anti-air jab. It hits a little bit in front of him, but it cannot be used as an anti-air in the same way it can be used in Street Fighter 4. And this is another case. Not only he can use the jab to defend against crosses, but when used with the combination of the um, infamous green hand, as you can see, you can just escape corner pressure directly by using anti-air jab. That is the proximity version, and that way Zangief had multiple ways to defend against air attacks and crosses. But lariat is lariat from a crouching position is the traditionally speaking was the best tool for that. So as you can see, like the lariat is definitely better in Street Fighter 4. Yes, in Street Fighter 6 there are also like DX version, but DX version doesn't seem to have different properties to defend against cross-ups. And here is how the proximity light attack, the proximity jab, works as an anti-air in Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. It's basically the same concept, right? The cross-up attacks are much closer to the ground, as you can see, but again, the jab can hit people above Zangief's head, and he can defend, as you can see, against cross-ups in this way. He also has the green hand here, although the motion is very counterintuitive. Oh, and by the way, just let me pause there for a second. As a side note, I want you to notice for people who haven't seen like replays of Justin Wong and Smug getting destroyed by Zangief Bless in Super Turbo, I want you to notice what is the range of his Fierce Punch SPD in Super Turbo, and the reason why he's considered to be up close one of the strongest characters in the game, although he's not like OP or anything like that. But if somebody knows how to use SPD in Super Turbo, he can just destroy people outright. So pay attention to, just a second, pay attention to the range of of um, the strong SPD in Super Turbo. Okay, there it is. It's not point blank, it's from here, guys, from around here. This is this is freaking insane. Okay, now lastly I'm going to show you Street Fighter Alpha 3. It's Zangief is roughly the same in Alpha 3 and Alpha 2. These are very different games. He has a lot of different tools there. He has a very strong crouch and fierce punch. But like the main source of damage there and the main tool to counter certain stuff is not only his lariat or whatever else tools he has, but they're also systematic with the activation, the super combo activation and stuff like that. So yeah, against his jab is roughly the same animation, but doesn't work as well in Street Fighter Alpha as an anti-air. But his lariat is again very strong, very strong in the Street Fighter Alpha series. It works as anti-air, works against the cross-ups as well, and hits multiple times. Okay, but in Street Fighter 6, unfortunately, you're going to eat a big combo when you try to defend against cross-ups with the lariat. And as you can see, he doesn't like his shoulder. His shoulder just does not have any hitting properties. You can't also do something similar to what Street Fighter 5 had. He was able to get with the vacuum a little bit above him, but here it's only in front, and I'm gonna argue it's not as long range as it was in Street Fighter 5. So yeah, that is very unfortunate, but that is the case. I just wanted to like show it to you, and as you can see, in some cases you're just gonna get hit out of your lariat if you try to defend against cross-ups this way. And yeah, this is a big disadvantage for Zangief, definitely, and mainly because, guys, I really do not see what the alternative is. Like, he just has to hold block in that situations. I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that as a negative. Ooh, he has to defend. Like, if you play Zangief in Street Fighter 6, you have to, like, he is a defensive character. He is a character that excels after a successful defense. He can transition then into offense, but mostly you're going to get zoned out. You have to defend a lot. You have to block a lot, and in a lot of cases, you're going to be in a big life lead disadvantage. Like, people are going to have life lead on you, and you have to make comebacks. For that, you need strong defense, and you need to hold back in a lot. You need to hold block in a lot of situations. But not being able to defend against cross-ups is a big deal for Zangief, and I don't know what the alternative is. I just as I showed you, I'm not going to show the jab in Street Fighter 6 because it's obvious that it doesn't work as an anti-air. He like just does this like slow and very forward a very forward position chopping motion that does not hit above him. There is no way he can do that in SF6. And like, the only thing that I can imagine might work in certain situations is you might be able to do a parry into drive rush escape forward, but in any other case you just have to hold block against cross up, and that's it. The only situations that I can imagine in which you may try and challenge attacks like this is in situations where there are some like how should I explain it? Like a pseudo cross-ups, attacks that if you do a certain attack in the air, it might hit you as a cross-up, but if you do a different attack from the air, it might hit you from front. And actually, Zangief has some of those. I'm going to show that in a separate video. But if you feel that somebody is going to do some kind of like a pseudo cross-ups on you, you might try to challenge with the lariat, but I would advise to do that only in situations where the opponent is in a burnout state and he doesn't have any like super meter, because in that case you might be punished only with the in the panic and in the scramble situation. He might punish you with just a throw or with a small combo, but otherwise you're going to eat a lot of damage if you try to defend against cross up with the lariat in this game, guys. So um, yeah, as you can see, sometimes he just get hit out of it, even with the air tatsu. So that is the very important announcement that I want to make. I'm curious to see if there are going to be any like solutions, but honestly, I don't see what he can do. Like I said, in some of the more floatier jumping attacks that hit very high, and then like for example something like Chun Li's uh, cross flip. I don't know how it's called. It's the traditional cross attacks with the jumping knee that she has ever since Street Fighter 2. In some of those cases, you might be able to do a I almost said focus. Excuse me, I'm still on the Street Fighter 4 mindset. So he might be able to do a parry into drive rush that moves him forward, but in most cases, he just have to hold block and that's it. Like, mm, big disadvantage for him in this game. And once again, I think it's not widely understood that he has this advantage. So I want to make this video for you guys. And if you have some unfortunate experience in trying to deal with cross-ups like this, please tell me down in the comment section below. For me personally, I'm going to say that I'll have a very hard time getting out of the habit of pressing lariat whenever the opponent is trying to cross me. I'm just like instinctively used to do the lariat in those situations. So it's gonna be hard for me as a Zangief player for sure. And I would also like to hear your opinions on how you deal with crossups with Zangief in Street Fighter 6. I'll be happy to read your comments. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Please consider subscribing to the channel for more videos on not only Street Fighter but other topics. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.